The good news is it's incredibly easy, and the even better news is it is the only stitch that you need to know how to do in order to learn how to tailor your clothes. Yes! I am SD, and if you are new here, I do not like ill-fitting clothes, and I really hate long intros, so let's do this! First things first, we want to check the settings on our machine. And on mine, it is A for a straight stitch. Yours might be a little bit different, but the fundamental principles on every single sewing machine that has been made in the last, I don't know, 100 years is exactly the same. What kind of stitch do you want to make? And you see all these hieroglyphics down here? Don't worry, you can just ignore them. They seem confusing, and they kinda are, but that's because this machine can do a lot of different things. And I have had this machine for 3 years, and I have not used a single one of these settings except for these right here. Yeah, you can make a quilt or you can make a blanket, but not on this channel. The only thing we care about is making our clothes fit better and for real cheap. So we just care about A and B, which are both gonna be straight stitches. And we also want to talk about C, but not in this video. That's a zigzag stitch. We'll get to that. Don't worry. So our machine is good to go, and there are 4 different settings that are all going to control how long our stitch is. And this fifth one, the fifth one is actually called a safety stitch. And stick around for that one too, because it is oh so important. But don't worry. It's not confusing, I promise. And you might be thinking, but wait, SD, I see that there's 3 dials on there. What about that third one? Well, the third one, that's for the width of our stitch. And when we're sewing in a straight line, we don't need to worry about the width of our stitch at all. So you can have that set to pretty much whatever it is that you want. It's a non-factor. Pretend that dial doesn't even exist. See? I told you this was easy. Now settings 2 through 4 are gonna slowly but surely make your stitch longer and longer and longer. Depending on what you're sewing, you might wanna be a little bit careful, because if your stitch is too short, what can happen is it ends up kind of making the seam all bunched up, and it looks really weird when you put your garment on. But on the flip side of that, if you end up making your stitch too long, then it might not be strong enough. So it's like everything else in life. You just gotta find that happy medium. Don't have 16 Coors Lights. Have 2. Said no one ever. Not with the arguments my kid and I get into, please. If I'm sewing a t-shirt or a dress shirt, I'm usually gonna stick with settings either 1, 2, or 3. Usually 1, that's my go-to. You can use settings 3 or 4 for something that's a little bit more loose and blousey, I guess we'll say. So let's say like a dry fit shirt that you would wear to the gym. If you wanna tailor one of those, since it's got some technical fibers in it, it can be a little bit tricky. So you want your stitch to be a little bit longer so that it doesn't pull on it, and again, it kind of looks weird. And the last one is what's called a safety stitch. And a safety stitch is amazing. And here's why. What a safety stitch does is, instead of going forward in a continuous line, what a safety stitch does is it goes forward twice, and then it goes back once, and then it goes forward twice, and then it goes back once. And each and every time it goes back once, it locks that stitch in, which makes that stitch incredibly strong. I use a safety stitch for things like pants, where I don't want to have any embarrassing accidents. Or I'll even use it on even my t-shirts sometimes, or my dress shirts. Anything where I feel like I'm gonna wear it and be reaching over my head all the time to, let's say, get something off of a shelf. And I don't want to have that awkward moment where I look down and I'm like, oh, sweet, there's a hole in my armpit. Awesome. Hey, remember that certain dry video that I made? Yeah, it's still working. And just like that, you know how to do a straight stitch, and next time, it's gonna be the zigzag stitch. And you know what's funny about the zigzag stitch? It's just as easy. Now you can do what I do. You can just go shop at Target and at Kohl's, tailor your clothes to look amazing on you, and then have people be in public be like, man, that's one good looking dude. I got you, bro. Make sure you click that, and make sure you click that. I will see you on the other side. SD out. Deuces.